Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It's episode 174.
The one with the Northman and More.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everyone, we're back. We're back at it. We're drinking again. Yar! He be forth to grab the mead of cup of choice and drink with I. May this supple sound slide deeply within those ear pillows.
Ear pillows? Huh. Okay. Wow, that was like a hearty welcome. We are partaking to our favorite beverage now. It's a toss at sometimes between coffee and beer, but
pint of rad.
You know, we've already had coffee a bit today, and we hadn't had beer yet, so we might as well share the love.
Yeah, so we've cracked open another Bricklayer Brewing. This is our mixture that we quite enjoy. It's the peach pear plum paired with the sour, the Mothership Connection.
Infinity Sour.
Yeah,
I love the name.
So this we've been hitting up that and getting a pint there once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking that.
We tell everyone about it too.
That's true. And now everyone is you too. You're part of the secret. Head on down and get a lovely pint.
You're going to talk like that for the whole episode?
Would you like me to talk like this for the entire episode?
You know what will be fun is if it just randomly, if you start changing, but see how it changes throughout the episode.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes today, eh?
Yeah, see? All right. That'll happen.
So, you know what we did this last time around? We ended up actually partaking in something that we usually don't do. Being out in public.
Yeah?
That's right. We went down to Bricklayers Trivia and we decided, because usually it's like a team sport, you know, where you've got multiple people. We couldn't get anybody to go with us at the time.
Well, we also, people who are more interested in answering questions than we are.
Yes.
You know, nothing like having two anxiety-ridden people answering questions in a competitive sport with strangers.
Yes, exactly. But we took part. We were the Just Us League. That's where we're at. And so we headed on down to it. And
we got our favorite spot at the bar still.
Yeah, we were there. It was very welcoming. It was very fun. It was a very good time. We got to drink. And that made things a lot more.
That always helped.
Helped to go down.
Yeah.
So, you know.
You know what? I actually had a lot of fun. I found myself, the reservations being open again today. And I was like, maybe we can go next week. I actually found myself thinking that. And I was like, okay, well, even though there was a few spots where I was stressed out and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't know this question and this answer. And it's just eating me alive. I also did have a lot of fun. Yeah. So it was a good experience.
There we go.
Overall, I mean, I don't know. It might change if I have to sing or dance or play games of some sort and like interact with other people and not just sit in my little bubble. Things might change, but you never know. It could still be interesting.
Right? It depends on what you got to sing.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna have a hard time.
So, it was fun. You know, I didn't know that you wanted to go again. Well, I don't know. It's up to you.
I thought of it today.
You've got the power to book. I don't. So
I know.
I'm busy when reservations go up. So
I know. So, well, we'll do it again at some point. So I'm still supposed to go with my work team, and go in for a time. So that will be interesting to see how that goes and if we can be any better. I'm not sure if we'll be any better or if we'll just be the obnoxious, loud women in the corner.
We were a team of two. We were the only team of two in our time. And we ended up not completely doing terrible.
We weren't last.
We were not last.
Which is sad. I really missed the gummy worms, but
we did not get the gummy worms. But we had pity gummy worms. They gave us one each instead of a cup.
We're awesome gummy worms.
Oh, okay, we took that. I took it as pity gummy worms. You were almost last, but not enough to get a cup.
It was we're eating gummy worms in front of you, and I had the puppy dog eyes. It was here. You can have one too. But yes, we weren't dead last and not like behind or ahead by a long
We were only 5 points away from the third place.
Yeah, which was actually pretty cool. And, you know, we kind of learned a little bit more to maybe both of us trust our gut a little bit for things, where if we had put down our first thoughts of things, so both of us need to be like, no, okay, the other person has at least a better feeling answered. Let's just try that one. Yeah. And we would have been able to earn a decent amount of extra points if we had just done that. So live and learn.
Yeah. Very
Good
true.
times.
We could have came in third or fourth. I mean, not fourth. But anyway. But it was a good time, right? Yeah. So, man, it's been weird. We missed you last week. We didn't come and see you.
Well, you've been kind of like new movie and then no new movie and like other things and doing things and like things happening.
Yeah, it's right? definitely a strange time right now. And we got caught up on a lot of things too, and it was a lot of stuff not even want to talk about.
Yeah, like boring stuff or activities.
We watched Simpsons and we watched Bob's and things like that. Yeah. But there was a TV show that we do want to talk to you about. It's something that you need to look at.
You do.
Because I don't think it's being talked enough.
And it needs another season.
It needs another season, that's for sure. It is on HBO Max. If you're Canada, it's Crave. Anywhere else, I don't know. But in the States, it's HBO Max. It's all out there on there. It is a little show, a big show, a fantastic show. It's about pirates. That's right. It's about pirates.
It's killing me.
Our flag means death.
And it's fucking fantastic.
It's a great show. It's 10 episodes. They're only a half hour a piece.
But they feel like so much show. Like so much content. Every single moment of it is worthwhile.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, that was a whole lot of wasted time. Every moment is interesting.
Every moment.
So we've got this English rich man who decides life is boring and he wants adventure. He decides he wants to be a pirate. He runs off to the sea and he's got this interesting crew of people who are pirates, but not quite pirates. And he's the
Stede Bonnet.
Stede Bonnet is the gentleman pirate.
He's played by Rice Darby.
So, and then he ends up crossing paths with Blackbeard, which is played by none other than Taika Waititi, which is absolutely fabulous. And it's their interactions and relationship, and basically Blackbeard is done being a pirate, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of them learning off of their different worlds and interacting and having this conflict of everything. And,
right. And the relationships that are founded and all that. And
all the characters are just so interesting.
I laughed out loud every episode.
Yeah.
Like it is a funny show, but at the same time, there's a lot of heart and there's a lot of like meaning to it. And
yeah, there's a lot of commentary on even our world.
Yeah.
Even too, right?
And
the human condition.
Well, exactly. Well, because I think at the same time, though, anything, even if we were like write anything now, we're like, oh, I'm going to write a pirate show. But you're really writing about experiences and thoughts now.
Oh, yeah.
Disguised as a pirate show, right? Mm-hmm. It's like anything. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to write a cowboy show that, yep. Space Western. It's a commentary because it's a way to package it.
Yeah.
It's a great romance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's a great way of finding who you are in yourself.
Well, and also, standing up to people who put you in a box of some sort too, and dealing with the pressures of societal norms and expectations that you have set up in the way you've lived your life in the past. Like so much good commentary on that, all done in just this hilarious package. Yeah. And Taika Waititi delivers his lines so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like of course he's Blackbeard. Like it's just, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is his character, and Stede is so lovingly played. Like he's genuine and he's just such a nice individual. And then just all the supporting cast are just, I cannot say enough good things about the show. Yeah,
everything about it. Like it is like
I will definitely be watching this again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
it hasn't been picked up for a second season. It really needs to be because it does end on a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. Even
a tragic cliffhanger.
So it's really set up for a second. It needs it, and I hope it happens. Go watch it. It's funny and there's a lot of laughs in it, and it's quirky. It's that weird quirky humor that comes from that crew of people.
Whole crew of people,
right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth your time. If you're trying to figure out something to watch, Our Flag Means Death, you need to watch it.
Can we make a cup of rad pirate flag?
Only if it's got cats.
Of course it has to have cats.
Because they're evil.
They have knives for hands.
Right? Like they have a craft, like a tournament of like they're having to create a flag because they don't have a flag, and they each create a flag.
It's craft time.
And they're all sewing, right? And they all have to describe their flag, and they're trying to figure out
like a skull eating a skull.
Yeah. What are you, cannibals? No, it's just cool looking. Like.
Oh yeah, we could just keep reminiscing about that. So.
I started thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, I could rewatch this. I could rewatch this series because it's got that humor to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't feel bogged down because each episode is leading towards something.
As I say, it feels like there's a lot of content in each episode.
Mm-hmm.
For being a half-hour show.
Yeah.
It was a lot happening, right? So
yeah, so totally worth it. Like if you've enjoyed their stuff in the past, like the Fly the Conchords, or even like our What We Do in Shadows, mm-hmm. right? But it's not the mockumentary feel. It's actual full on like sitcom serial. Like you know, it takes place pretty much on a ship with a few
dalliances off to the shore.
Yeah. So. But it's just so good.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go watch that.
Yeah, we need to go watch that again because it was worth it. So Our Flag Means Death. It's on HBO or on Crave in Canada. Go check it out to laugh yours ass off. All right. So before we get into the new movie, mm-hmm. so it gives you some time, because you haven't heard us for a while. So we're gonna talk about some
ease in
old movies that are new movies.
Someone didn't put their phone on silent.
Apparently. It's on silent.
It's just shake the table.
Vibrates for a good time.
I wish you could change that setting. Wouldn't that be fun?
For a good time?
Yeah, it should say vibrate for a good time. I mean, wouldn't that be fun? Like the weird. Why can't we edit other things on our phones?
Yeah, right.
Anyways,
can it then? It should be able to vibrate in that though, for a good time.
Different vibration patterns. I like it. Okay. Anyways, what?
But so we're gonna do a couple of our rewatches. They're newer but older, but you probably have seen it because they are newer, but they're not older, but they're fairly new.
Oh my goodness! You're just saying.
I'm saying words. So
over in different sentences.
No.
Yes. So we rewatched.
I've already seen this movie twice. This is the third time I've seen it, and I watched one scene that it was the fourth time I'd seen that scene.
You're missing the glares,
which is
laser glares at his face for all the times he got to watch this without me.
So, The Batman rewatch micro analysis review.
Sorry, I'm off topic because Mike looks like he's trying to make shadow puppets with his hands right now, and it's fantastic. He's got a little puppy dog on his hand. So, the Batman. We need to do a video podcast one day.
The no, because then I'd have to wear pants. So the Batman came out. It came out on HBO Max now. It's also available on Crave. So basically, if you got HBO, you got the Batman. Batman only came out in March in theaters, so it's still fairly fresh.
Yeah,
actually,
which was surprising to have it already out
so quick, right? And it is quickly becoming not the most watched on HBO Max because for some reason Mortal Kombat is still number one.
What?
But the Batman's number two. I don't know. So the Batman, and if you jump back a few, probably 3 episodes.
Yeah, not that many, unfortunately.
You'll have had our review of the Batman. This is going to be our second take of it.
Of how many times Mike has watched it. We also shared it with Kiddo.
Yeah.
Which was very exciting to be able to do that because, of course, the length of the movie. Now we've vetted it as well, be able to try to talk to him about it, and of course
at home because pee breaks are important.
Yeah,
prostate and are important. Don't hold it in because it could wreck your kidneys. Make sure you take those potty breaks. It's good for you. It's good for your kidneys. You'll be more productive. If work says don't take a potty break, be like, bitch, it's gonna wreck my kidneys. I gots to pee. If I don't pee, then guess what happens? I gotta take time off work. What is more productivity disaster?
We're just all over the place. We barely even had any beer, and we're all over the place. So
So yeah,
Kidney stones back to Batman.
Yeah, so the Batman. So I got to actually watch this in theaters still with Jessima's Prime back in March, which was a pretty fun experience.
Nice.
So getting to see it again, and then a few weeks ago it showed up on HBO, and I may have just watched the Batmobile chase just to prove it was on Crave.
Yeah, what kind of bullshit excuse was that? I needed to make sure it was legit. What? You could have just said, I wanted to watch the scene again. No, he made it sound as if it might have been a fake, like, fishing trap of a movie. Like, we're just dangling this here, pretending that we have it. You might need to check and make sure it's the real thing.
I did. I checked it out. Because that scene is so sexy.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
can we say sexy?
So we say fuck, so we can say sexy.
Fair. I'm just wondering about like all the weird things that happen on social media.
It was so fucking sexy.
Okay.
Is that better?
So I watched that scene again. So then we got to watch it again. I was really excited to watch it. again. And it's been a while since I felt excited about a movie to want to rewatch, especially with the turnaround time that this has been.
And the fact that you had already seen it recently again, opposed to the only one initial watch in the theater, shows that you really did enjoy it too. So I was excited to show Kiddo it. Because he seems to like, we told him, okay, it is more dramatic,
almost
there's
3 hours.
Stuff to really pay attention to. I should have known that was his cup of tea because he loves these big, long, dramatic movies. He was super at attention the entire time, like not rolling off the couch, like super focused. He only asked me for clarification for like one thing.
Yeah, he
was calling out like, this is what's happening, understanding like comprehension and like
what things actually are meaning,
the allegories for things, like, oh, this is what he's actually meaning.
What are you hideously scarred underneath?
He's like, emotionally, and I was like, oh my god, like you totally understood that. And so I thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
So Kiddo loved it.
Yeah. It's probably his favorite Batman.
Near the end, he was like, Mom, this is an epic movie. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Well, it's just interesting though, because like here I've been like, hey, I want to watch the old Batman stuff, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
Right. Or like,
but he really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
And because he won't fake a reaction.
No.
Like that. You know, so that was a legitimate, because unless we're trying to like sit there and be like, so what'd you think? What'd you think? For him to just say something like that means that it was real.
Yeah. He really, really, truly enjoyed it without really any of our bias on it.
Yeah. Like he knew we really enjoyed the movie, but he wouldn't have had to say that. Right. Yeah. And as I say, I can tell by the way he acts on whether he is actually interested and focused on it. Yeah. Right. So, third time really of watching the movie,
I really liked it. I still really enjoyed it. I was still really engaged in this. They're on a path with this version of the Batman that I'm excited to see more of.
Yeah.
Just the simple fact of the monologuing that happens throughout the movie, that inner thought of Batman reminds me of the comic. Yeah. Right. And that idea, and he just his voice, even for those moments, really kind of draws me into it. Right.
Sounds like an old detective or something.
Yeah.
Like an old gritty noir movie. Or
exactly. Something. And the few fight scenes that are in it, I really like it. I like the presence. I like the Frankenstein walk because I
love how different I really noticed it. He can move so slow or he can move really fast. Yeah. And it depends on the vibe that he's trying to portray. Yeah. So it shows that he's not just stuck in moving one certain way. Yeah. He adapts to what what situation he's in, what he's trying to express to the people around him. And, it was really cool to see that change. Yeah. And that openness to
exactly.
I love Catwoman. I can't say enough good things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. Like happy. I hope we see more of that because she has the look. She's got the vibe. She's just got the dialogue and the sass.
So like, it was happy to see her, but I know, see Catwoman in general, but I know, I mean, here I am, I love Wonder Woman, and I was still so critical. It wasn't just like, oh, sweet, Wonder Woman's on screen.
Yeah.
You know, I love Catwoman, and she nailed it better than I could have imagined.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so perfect.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally. I noticed how much more I liked the collar on the cowl. Because I think it also worked as a protector. It's probably reinforced, so when he gets hit with like the crowbar,
that makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
But also, I think it really helps by having that collar, allows them to give the costume more head tilt, pivot,
opposed to the rubber suit, this one
rubber suit, the solid, right? Because he can look up so much more, he can look down so much more, he can tilt.
Yeah, you're right, because then it would make sense having that protection, but it's not connected, so then he can still move.
Yeah. So I noticed that was so much more on this watch too, is that those kind of things. And one thing I really noticed I was paying a lot more attention to was Pattinson's face. And what I also really love is the fact that he is in that cowl more than he is out of the cowl for this movie.
Yeah.
Now, by all means, it'll probably change for a sequel because of
well, when he's out of the cowl, he has a good reason to be out of the cowl too.
And I liked seeing, because especially in that end scene, we talked about it, was that when the Riddler is saying Bruce Wayne, right? And Batman's thinking, oh shit, I just got unmasked. You can visibly see it in his face.
Well, and you can see it in his whole body.
His jaw quivers. He kind of has that moment where he feels like he's like gonna puke. Yeah. Because it's like the whole, oh damn, this is over. Right. And then that tension, that grit he has in his teeth leaves his body, and that's not something we really saw in any of the other Batman.
Well, yeah, because you can when he realizes that Riddler isn't talking about Batman as Bruce Wayne, and he's talking about it in a different context, his whole body relaxes. It's visible, and like that's an acting skill. And
he's able to get back into his like tough man persona.
Yeah,
right?
And it's so interesting to see that, because it's also a requirement of the director of the writing to have that where Batman shows actual emotion. Yeah, you know, and that it's almost that reminder that he's still human. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting to see that. And because, you're right. We never saw that at all. Like,
there was just so much rage in the others in the Bale stuff. And then we go back to the other, right? So it's kind of cool to see that. And that scene where like he's not using any dialogue. It's just all his facial movements. But yeah, there was just a lot to really enjoy. Like, Batmobile scene, still probably one of my favorite Batmobile scenes. I love the fact that the Batmobile doesn't have guns on it. That's a huge upgrade from any of the other film adaptations.
He didn't blow through the vehicles, and
the only explosion came from was Penguin running into it, and that was right. But that the music in that scene and when it fires up, like, that is just a beautiful scene.
Well, it was nice because I was able to, not having to focus on the actual story element, see more of those side pieces and really feel how the music interacts with it more, and really take a lot of that in. And so I noticed a lot more of the music around this.
And it's such a simple like thing, but it's just like, it just impermeates the film. Yeah. It like lingers within it because it's used in so many different ways, different types of instruments to create the same riff,
sound. Yeah.
And yet it is different enough to know what it's trying to tell in that moment. And I have not felt a score in this long that feels like it'll stick around. Yeah. Right. Especially if they use any of the same kind of things for any of the sequels, because it was finally officially greenlit. Yeah. That they are doing a sequel. And yeah, no, I think it really was a great piece of superhero gold. Yeah. Now, I'm hoping with the sequel, they'll be able to like get that almost 3-hour runtime again, because I think as much as it was long, it was allows them to really tell a complete story. Right. And I'll say again, one of my favorite things was at the end, Batman was hope. He was hope for those in the city, that there was someone out there looking out for them that wasn't just going to blow the fuck out of their city.
Yeah.
He was also going to hold their hand while they were strapped into a helicopter to get taken away. Because
he needs them to, the city needs to trust him and feel that cohesion again.
Yeah.
And not just assume that he is, he needs to be feared by the villains, by the criminals, and loved by the people.
Yeah.
And felt like, okay, well, we trust that he's there looking out for us.
Yeah.
And he's not someone for us to fear.
Yeah.
And it was so emotional. Like, I never would have expected that I would have teared up at a Batman film. But it hit me, even though I knew it was going to happen, it hit me just as hard. And it was just so heartwarming to see him change his emotional outlook on something and realize that he needed to be hope. He needed to get better. He needed to let go of the pain and the revenge. And that driving factor is not going to be something that's long-standing. You can't make a hero out of something like that. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to be a vigilante anymore. He wanted to be a hero. Yeah. And there's the difference between those, right? Yeah. And
and it's still lots of storytelling that could be told with that. Yeah. That could,
Because, he's still going to struggle. New villains, new everything. Mm-hmm. Say the Joker in this world would test him in different ways. He didn't have a villain that was out in front of his face for doing things or causing, this was a whole new level of destruction. Yes, it was terrible murders the Riddler was doing, but they were very singular, relatively, justice-based killings. Not saying it was okay, but opposed to just mass trauma to innocence. Yeah. There are different ways to handle that, right? Mm-hmm. Wanting to push him to, wanting to cross that line. And you have a lot more storytelling to tell with him. Oh, totally. So, I can't say enough good things about this movie. I'm still thoroughly blown away by how awesome it was. And it was great because we still really enjoyed it and our son was still able to really enjoy it. And I think it was just well done. Yeah.
I really do love the scene at the end where he's taking out Riddler's kind of goons, his followers. Yeah. When he shows up and he double grappling hooks those guys, like
the harpoons.
And that was one of the things that I loved about the Affleck Batman was that he was so much more acrobatic and he moved so much more, and they were able to bring that, even though this is a very more grounded kind of Batman feel, they brought that in, and he still is flying around. Like some of those scenes at that end, that end fight, are just fantastic because he's just thrown himself at it. Yeah. Right. And it's nice to see because he's only in his third year of Batman, the start of his third year, right? Like, so it's just, so much potential for sequels. Yeah. And I think, Matt Reeves did a great job, and the makeup team has got to win an award for their transformation of Colin Farrell into Penguin. Right. Because if they don't, then it's rigged. Because that is a seriously, because he doesn't look as if he's necessarily makeup. Like he looks like a dude. I was
looking at him again. I'm like, I can't believe that. I know who that is underneath that.
Right. And then Farrell himself did a fantastic job with his dialect. Yeah. Right. Because it doesn't feel forced or like his speech pattern is just.
It feels easygoing still.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you haven't seen it already, go watch The Batman. It's 2 hours and 57 minutes. Okay. No, but nothing too of your life that is interesting and enjoyable when it comes to film. And I think it's a turning point for superhero cinema that still feels comic-y but grounded.
I hope that Warner Brothers can take something out of this and realize that they found a good mix here. And it would be great if more of their movies could follow the same type of formula, because it is more true to a comic feel.
Yeah. So moving into another comic-based movie that we have digested over the weekend was Spider-Man No Way Home. This one here came out in December, and it's just been out on disc for a couple of weeks, a little bit longer on digital. So it is the conclusion to the Home trilogy for the MCU and Sony.
And we needed, of course, to watch it in preparation of Doc Strange coming out next weekend.
That's right.
Which I'm very excited about.
So be careful if you haven't already heard. There's tons of spoilers on the internet. If you want spoilers, come back next week. We spoil the crap out of Doc Strange.
But that's okay, considering it's now been out.
So.
But yeah, in preparation for that, we definitely wanted to rewatch No Way Home.
Yep. So I went out to the old Walmart and bought me a dirty, dirty Blu-ray. I didn't want to spend the money on digital to rent it. I was like, well, I may as well buy it.
We own all the Marvel MCU ones, so.
Well, we don't own all of them. The ones that are showing up on Disney Plus in new, we have not bought them. Because we figured it'd probably never leave Disney Plus.
Well, yeah.
But
Spider-Man is not on Disney Plus.
Is not there because...
So we own all the other two Spider-Man movies.
The mouse has not figured out how to purchase Spider-Man back from Sony. So it will only be available on if Sony ever gets its own streaming service, or currently Stars eventually it'll hit. And then who knows where. But now we have a disc. You didn't need to know any of that, but we told you because why not?
Because we share random shit with you.
Yeah. The more you know. So Spider-Man No Way Home, after the fallout of Far From Home, of the world finding out that Spider-Man is the criminal Peter Parker.
The menace.
The Spider Menace that is terrorizing our city.
I felt like I got myself feeling all angry all over again with the terrible Mysterio lies. I was just like, such an asshole.
Right? Well, it's a great piece of fiction that talks about our life. You could throw anything online, and if you're in the love of the public eye,
yeah, anything you say is gospel.
Yeah.
And people will be able to throw... I mean, how much had Spider-Man done for the world, and then he was just instantly thrown down because of a well-edited video?
Yep.
And lives are permanently changed, and you think about that, and you're like, maybe I should not be as judgmental about things I see online. Just in case.
Yeah.
Because you never know if it's complete and utter bullshit.
Right.
I wasn't there. I don't really know.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to think that it's so easy for people to just throw that under the bus and just be like, well,
how much editing software is out there now?
Oh yeah.
We edit things for a lot less, more aesthetic reasons.
Yeah.
What would it be if someone really wanted to take someone down? There wouldn't be a problem at all.
No, not at all.
So, I still really enjoyed the movie. It was really, really fun to watch again. Really interesting to see all the different villains and have it all come together. I was really happy with how many characters there were in this movie and how it didn't feel muddled. It didn't feel like something was quick to wrap up that I felt gypped on, or that I didn't have enough emotional, enough heart to it. I was impressed on how well they handled so much going on.
Well, this is a rare occurrence in comic book movies outside of almost the MCU now. A little bit Fox stuff had some reoccurring characters, but this is the first time we've really got to see any Spider-Man's big villains come back. We actually get to see Willem Dafoe play the Goblin again. We get to see Molière play Ock again. It's a rare, and we get to see Jamie Foxx course correct
and
Electro.
do it properly.
Right.
Well, and I really like Dafoe's Goblin in this. He did such an amazing job of being creepy as fuck, because especially when he's getting the crap beat out of him and he's smiling. Oh my God. He's
laughing.
I have so much respect for Dafoe as an actor now, more than I ever thought I would. Because between that and The Lighthouse and all his weird shit that he's done, he is a very expressive character.
Yeah.
And he did such a good job with this, because like he almost like a Joker feel where you're not quite sure which side's talking and he's just smiling through all the gritted terribleness and it's just like it makes it even scarier when someone's getting punched in the face and laughing about it. You know, so he just did such a good job. And I really enjoyed him reimagining that character again, I think.
Yeah. So. You know, it's wild seeing them come back and play these characters again. And just fall in, well, Spider-Man has to die, right? Like, you can tell their hate is right there. Like, they're just like, no, it's his fault, right?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a pro and con to this movie, though, because it's like, it's that moment of being like, we haven't had time to really set up any other villains.
Yeah, so we have to use those ones.
Right? So what if we bring back other villains from the past Spider-Man movie so people already know them so that we don't have to spend the time to set them up, and then we get like extra time with them, and even if we off them in that, it's okay because they're actually already dead in their previous universe. Like there's a bit of a
laziness into it.
Like, yeah, a little bit of because at the same time, you know, they don't know if they're ever going to make more. They're hinting that they want to make more, but they don't know for sure. Yeah. Right. So it definitely was.
It was a creative use of the lack of time.
Yeah, totally. But
and I totally understand.
Kudos on all those actors saying, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. To get that many people coordinated and signed off on it was impressive.
Like that's a very good thing.
I'm reminded how much I always loved Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then watching this again, I loved every time the three Spider-Men were talking.
Yeah.
It made me weirdly gleeful. They were just he was just so quippy, and Tobey Maguire was just so old man wise, full of heart and appreciation of the world. And it was just so heartwarming. I loved it.
Well, it makes you wish that you could see those Spider-Men play Spider-Man again in something else.
I wish I could see Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man in that way when he was that Peter Parker. Well, not the sad, mopey or bright, wide-eyed teenage. Yeah. Like, I want to see that version of Peter Parker.
I think they could do it. I think they could pull off. Why don't they try to do like the comics where they had the Renew Your Vows and have him and Mary Jane with powers and their kid?
That'd be cool. Like, just plop us right into it. We don't need to know more. Like, we know who he is as Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Like, tell the story of how they got there and just be done with it. Like, I think I would be totally up for that.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that it gave this. I know we talked about it originally when this came out, but I love that it gave this renewed sense of appreciation for his Peter Parker and his Spider-Man that I had lost with how bad Spider-Man 3 was.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, he was a good Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He was a good Peter Parker. In that
the idea,
story,
like,
in that
product
world,
of its
right?
time, and it's
And so, like, I was worried that all of that would make a bias for seeing him in this, but it was like, no, he's like. It was like this warm, comforting nostalgia coming through, and it did its job, you know? So.
It's always good when you get something warm and comforting.
Right? It's just like a little warm hug from the past. Get your mind out of the gutter, you little weirdo.
What? No, there's nothing weird.
I don't know. I don't trust you. In that face. I don't trust that face.
You should always trust this face.
Yeah.
This is the face of everything.
The face of everything.
Yeah. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of...
Yep, don't trust that face.
No, I totally agree. Like, he brought in... Because he got to actually play different Spider-Man.
Yeah, it wasn't his original one. That's the thing.
He got to play an aged up, like, wise... You know, I've been through a lot more stuff that we don't know about.
And,
right?
Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think after Spider-Verse, that probably helped bring that version of a Peter Parker to a more acceptable light.
Yeah.
That we could see a hardened, grizzled, life-weathered Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And still be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that came from, right?
The only thing I had a struggle with Garfield's was he was super, like, happy, chipper, and, like, he talked so much about how he was just he always had the quip still. He always had something to say. But then he was like the first one to be like, no, like I stopped pulling my punches. Like I'm rage filled.
He got super angry.
And I was like, where'd this come from?
Yeah.
Like,
well, it shows then he was covering that rage with quip.
Yeah.
Right? It was a deflection of no one knows how angry I am because I'm always talking humorously.
Yeah. So,
right? But I understood that. I get that.
So, the most part though, like I really still really enjoyed it. I was excited to see where it went. For the fact that we got to actually see Holland's Spider-Man grow, and it's like a really depressing movie though.
I was going to say it still ends really sad.
Like as much as it ends with like that really dope, classic Spider-Man suit swing through New York at Christmas, like iconic. It's that excitement of seeing that is overshadowed by the fact that he's alone.
Yep.
No one knows who he is.
Not only doesn't know he's Spider-Man, no one knows who Peter Parker is. Yeah. And like he is so alone.
So it's like you wonder how those events then happened, like through Civil War and all that. Like now, in that retrospect, like did they happen or did we just forget it?
How did history rewrite itself in people's minds? Right? How did they?
Granted, I know a lot of the Avengers are dead, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
But so there's those moments, but yeah, like there's a lot of like it's depressing to think, and it's like that the Parker luck that always in the things like he's always, as much as he's always gonna be the one that does everything that the right, he always gets
short end of the stick.
Yeah, every time, and it's depressing to see. I really hope they're able to figure out a deal together to bring another few movies. Yeah. I hope they can get Holland back. I hope, it's still, I still hope it's within the MCU. Yeah. Because I just think they know what they're doing with it. And I'd love to see that suit. The fact that he's got no tech. It's literally a sewing machine. Yeah. Right? Suit.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see that change because he was so used to the nanotech and all the
he's
AI
not gonna be able to,
and all that sort of stuff, right? So
I really think I would love to see Kraven, the Hunter.
I know.
I think I was originally thinking that he was going to be the villain for this one, just with the way it was going to go. Yeah. I think the idea, I'm not excited for the fact that Sony's making their own movie about him as a anti-hero.
They are?
Spin the wheel, dude. And they're making a movie. Venom saw success, so they went with Morbius, and now Kraven's coming out.
How on earth can you make a Kraven movie all by himself?
I don't know.
You're like, but they're gonna try to find out.
They're gonna try to make. I think I like the Kraven being the reality TV, like the Crocodile Hunter kind of feel, and decides to go after the Spider-Man. Yeah. Right. With Jonah paying for it and all that, and
that would be fine, but it needs to happen within the Spider-Man world. Then you can't have Kraven just by himself.
So I don't know. I'd be curious to see. I don't know where things are gonna go going forward. Especially like there was all that talk that there was going to be like an Amazing 3, but now Garfield's saying that he's gonna take a break from acting. Oh yeah, and then you've got Holland saying he wants to take a break from acting, and Sony's just like, hey, we're gonna just do some more villains. They've got a Madam Web, and they're just
anything possible to keep the Spider-Man license going.
I don't know, it's weird. So but I really still like Holland as Spider-Man because he gives off the wide-eyed thing. I would love to see, as I said, I'd love to see it go forward because now he's out of the shadow of Iron Man. Yeah. He's out of the shadow of a lot of other things. So
he can actually be
his own, right? He's got no attachments. Yeah. They could do some crazy stuff. Yeah. With some things. It's sad to know that if you saw Morbius, you would know that Keaton is no longer in the MCU. Oh, he's now in the Morbius world. He's
over in that world. Okay.
So I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. The mouse needs to load up their pockets and come at Sony with a big Big payday.
But as long as people still liking any of those villain type stuff too, they'll just keep going for it. Oh well. Well, that was Spider-Man. Still enjoyed it.
Still worth seeing. If you hadn't seen it, check it out. It's still a great Spider-Man movie. It ties everything together. We went to a new movie, and we already told you about it in the title. So, and that's the review.
We're just gonna have an uncomfortable silence and just
sip whatever you're drinking and ponder that for a moment. Wherever you're sitting right now, look and say, what was the title of this again? Mm-hmm. Check your phone. I'm going to drink.
What's the sad thing is, like, what kind of impression is that? Here we named the title after that, but then we spent 45 minutes talking about Batman and Spider-Man, and then we're just like, yep, we saw that.
Maybe we could do that.
Not even dignifying it with a response.
I dignified it with a response. I took a nice, cool sip of my brew. Yes. The Northman.
We did go and see.
The Northman. We saw The Northman. Robert Eggers' new film.
With Alexander Skarsgård.
Yep. We saw it. And what did we think about it? Find out next week on Cup of Rad.
Wow, we're just not even done with our full beer.
I'm trying clickbait out. What do you think?
Oh.
Is it working for you? Hey, you know what I found out while working? In Belgium, they have a festival where back in the olden times, to protect their industrial revolution, when the French had taken over, they had cats to protect things, protect the textiles and all that from the rats. And
I was going to say, what does this have to do with the French
cats,
Revolution? Mm-hmm.
Well, it was Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, I got that.
No, it wasn't the French Revolution. It was
you're right.
the Napoleonic age in Belgium.
Gotcha.
Because there's a high population of French-speaking people in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
The cats would get too much, and they'd go up to this tower, apparently, and they'd throw the cats off. Right?
I can't believe that that's how they chose to kill the cats.
I guess it was like if they were worthy. If they were a worthy cat, they'd live. If they were not a worthy cat to continue to protect the area, they die.
Only the strong will survive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now they actually apparently still celebrate this thing. I can't say it's like Ketin something. It's Kattieree. Like
there's a lot of R's.
Yeah, I know, right? And
thank goodness they don't throw live cats.
So it's every 3 years, and now they still just throw stuffed cats off to celebrate it. But there was like this picture.
Why do they celebrate throwing animals off of a building? What the hell?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what are they celebrating?
The fun facts that you find out.
It's so
weird. They also dress up with like all white and black outfits and face paint to represent cats. Like,
so why don't we have cool, weird, bizarre cultural festival things in our... Like, why are we not cool?
Because we try to shut everything down. Anytime something cool happens, we're like, no, it's against our religion.
I mean, like, I don't want to... It's like we don't even relive our past in a positive way or a negative way. We just want to forget about it. Like, I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand why they're celebrating the idea of culling of cats, but...
Hey, they have their national dish is mussels on fries. And I thought it would be like way cooler. No, it's literally just like a plate of fries with mussels topped on.
That's weird.
Yeah,
like it's not even like artistic or anything like that.
No. Sometimes it's just a bucket of mussels and a bucket of fries.
Weird. That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Why were you learning about Belgium today?
Well.
Or was that actually at work, or was it like...
No, that was at work.
Finding things out. No. Like, was it the kids were learning about Belgium?
They had their French project. They had to learn about a French-speaking area of the world.
That was not France.
And the kids that I was working with chose Belgium.
Okay, that makes
because it was
sense.
On the list of which ones they could choose. Let it be. It was the first one on the list.
I didn't know that there was...
I saw Haiti, and I was like, Haiti!
Oh, go to Haiti, yeah.
We can learn about some voodoo and shit. And they were like...
It's going to be Cup of Rad's new segment.
What?
Weird historical facts you didn't expect to know. Next week, French culture in Haiti.
Oh, no, I gotta look that up.
Oh, research. You just walked yourself right into that one.
You know, I was actually thinking about doing an entire episode on the gummy bears.
Oh, and how they bounce here and there.
And everywhere?
Yeah. I mean, totally.
Beyond compare?
Oh.
Because they are.
They are the gummy bears.
Anyways, the Northman. The Northman. You know, I was really excited because I really love The Lighthouse.
He does.
Like
he loves it a lot.
I actually...
And it's a fucked up movie.
I really kind of want to watch it again. Because...
That makes me... It was interesting, but it also kind of goes ugh, in my head.
It's uncomfortably brilliant.
It's so uncomfortable.
The acting in it is great and bad, but fantastic.
It's a piece of art.
Yes.
You know what? It's art in its purest form for the fact that it's beautiful and weird and
ugly.
And ugly all at the same time. And you're just like, how the hell did this happen?
And now I'm thinking
but now it exists.
I'm thinking about the guy from Our Flag Means Death with the seagulls and the seagulls in it. I'm just like, I have a new interpretation of it. Completely.
Now we need to watch The Lighthouse again.
Yeah. But even like
Carl's.
Even the witch.
And Olivia's.
Right? Even the witch, like Egger's witch, it's art. And
I've never seen that one, have I?
No.
Okay.
Because you're not cool like me. We should watch it. We should do it.
I'm crying inside.
You should. You might be.
I should be crying because I'm not cool?
Like me?
I'm going to take your beer away from you.
You touch my beer, we have
I said, bitch!
You said that, right? You actually said that, to her face.
Oh, I said that.
I said it. I said those words. I looked her in the eye. And I said...
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, I said it. I said it.
It will never stop being funny. It's been years and that will never stop being funny. Ever.
I think we really have a problem. We really do have a problem. That the moment that's said, we go into that.
It helps us through things.
You know, it's just there. So Robert, he's
Robert Eggers.
It's
a
like,
unique individual.
It's like watching paint dry, but it's talking to you and doing other things. Like all his films. It's like you just dropped acid while you're watching the paint dry.
That's a good description.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is you're like, okay, we're just going to step by step and keep watching this and see what happened, but you don't want to stop. You want to keep seeing the paint dry.
Yeah.
Even though it can be boring at times, you still want to know what's going to happen.
Because, so the Northman, when it started, I looked at Katie and I was just like, this is the Lion King, dude.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the Lion King.
It continues throughout the film, by the way. It ends.
But, how brilliant is that? That, he was like, you know what? I'm going to take the Lion King.
I'm going to put Vikings in this
Put
shit.
it into, Viking culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then make it not really the Lion King, but then come back and be like, yeah, it's the fucking Lion King, dude.
Okay, so what I loved about this movie, in its most grotesque, horrific forms, I loved that it also did not romanticize Viking. Because as a teenager, I fell prey to the Vikings are super rad mentality, where it's like, oh my god, the Vikings.
Yes, they have
so
big
awesome.
pointy hats and really big beards and abs, and they kill things.
I
with
didn't
axes.
kill them with the abs. They had cool ships and cool ships.
Yeah, but that's now because there's the Netflix
well,
show
then it's
where
just
they're all
Thor, right? And then
they drink a lot of ale and they're still super fit,
right?
And they fuck like crazy.
So you have this romanticized version of the Vikings, and then you forget about history because history itself has changed a lot, and you realize they were some scary ass people. They pillaged and attacked
and plundered and rifled the loot. Wait, those are pirates.
And they were pirates of the North. They did a fantastic job of making them absolutely terrifying.
Yep.
Not romanticizing it, not making it sexy at all. They went in and killed everyone.
Oh, it's grotesque.
There was not the...
sadness on a plate.
It was the idea, all I could think of was, holy shit, humans are terrible to one another.
Oh, yeah.
And they have always been terrible to one another.
And they'll always be.
And what I just felt was absolute hopelessness. I was like, shit, we are terrible. Terrible. Human beings are terrible to one another. You give someone a bit of power and a promise of some sort of glory, then you back it up by religious promises of how you should live your life and that it is justified to be absolutely fucking terrible to one another because your religion tells you can. It is a recipe for disaster.
If you give a human some power, the human will kill others. If you give a human some power and they kill others, they will then control others. If you give a human power, they will kill others, control others, and try to dictate the future generations through their control through religion.
And then you give them the control to implement cultures and religions, and then the vicious cycle continues. So... As much as I say, it was absolutely terrible.
Hey, you know what? You should go see this movie so you can feel bleak and depressed and want to like curl up in a blanket and go, there's no hope, there's no hope, there's no hope. It's all the same.
Exactly. Okay, so outside of this, so also not romanticizing biking and that culture again.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed, though, that you got to learn more about the Norse mythology because... Whenever before, it was always like you only ever heard of Odin, and that was it. But you didn't actually really hear about him in any sort of like, you didn't hear about the ravens. You didn't hear about all these other portions of it. And, slowly, I know it sounds funny, but even through Thor, you actually learn more about Norse mythology in a more pulp culture aspect. Me and Kiddo have actually read a lot about Norse mythology and learned a lot about the different gods and learning about them. But having actually Freya in a movie spoken about so much, but seeing their temples, seeing their horrible rituals and all this sort of stuff, and the scary aspects of their religion and how dark it really can be. Yeah. And then you have that moment where you see, the paganism aspect of a religion and you realize that it's quite terrifying. And they're, more of...
How many horses had to die?
Right? Can you imagine? They actually killed a horse every time someone of, like, honor was killed or died. But it's no different than the Egyptians. How many people died when a pharaoh died or something like that, right? How much lives were wasted when someone of status died in old cultures is just astronomical, right? And so it was interesting to see all that harshness of it in behind the scenes of the story as it was being told in such a different light of the Norse world, right? Yeah. So there's some...
No, it was brutal. It was brutally...
It was so brutal.
Brilliant, though. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as it was... I'm not going to sugarcoat. It's boring. In a lot of cases. It's not some big action movie. It's not action movie.
It's drama.
It's very much a drama. It's not as quirky and weird. Like, you're not drawn into, like, the what's going on, like the lighthouse.
Humor at all.
It is just, and it's not as like horror-esque as say The Witch, right?
It's art though.
It really is in its true form. It is an art house film with like a little bit of like the Conan like violence in it, right? Of like, big beefy men killing things, right? But like, it was interesting.
It was still really... Like there was moments of the tenderness and the connection that he made that you had that moment of hope, but then it felt really realistic and gritty for the fact that didn't last. Yeah. And then things changed the way he had. Like it questioned the idea of even just the simple concept of as a child what you think of your parents and then as an adult what you find out about how your parents are. Like that alone is a big concept because it's true, right? We have these ideas that are, and it's idolized. Okay. It's okay as a child to idolize your parents. It's okay to think that they're wonderful people. That's how we have to... I know I heard some sort of animal sound too.
I hope it's not a werewolf.
That's okay. But as an adult, it's really interesting to then realize when you find out that, your parents are just humans or something, or if you found something not great about them, it's a really weird, trippy thing to find out, right?
And how you
how you deal with that.
Yeah.
Because that's a really complicated emotion.
Yeah.
So there was a lot in this for sure.
Oh yeah. No, it's a great piece of fiction. And I don't think it's getting the credit that it really deserves.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Skarsgård did a good job too.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I really like Egger's career so far because there hasn't 3 out of 3 movies have been pretty damn fantastic in the fact that he's not seeming to compromise his artistic visions.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just making his own kind of, this is how I see it, long drawn out focus shots, these tracking shots, these,
I love some of the big shots that he had. Like when he would, the sky and everything, because it's in Iceland for a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
You have this big, huge panoramic shot of the sky, and you see this little tiny town, and you see all these stars and this moon, and it's just so gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so beautiful. Yeah. And yet horrific things are happening in this little micro universe, right? Where people are just... It's
definitely one of those ones where it seems like you should be seeing Spider-Man or Batman on the big screen, but you should be seeing this on the big screen.
Yes.
There's the whole Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, come see Jurassic Park on IMAX. But the Northman, as much as it seems like it's a small film, it deserved the big screen.
It deserved the sound and the size and the
visuals are there.
Yeah.
For it, where it's you can watch all these other ones at home and just enjoy the goofiness.
Well, that's why, we had a choice between this one and the new Nick Cage one. And I'm like, well, this one seems like it's going to be worth the theater experience.
Yes.
Versus the Nick Cage one is going to be fun and ridiculous, and it won't be a problem to watch it at home.
Well, the cinematography is what really sets it apart, because you're getting those. It's real. The movie is 100, is real. It's real.
So in addition to the idea of the non-romanticized and the gods and everything, you also saw the Berserker prep and all these, what they did to get themselves into this mode of this killing warrior wolf machine thing that they had going on. And
it's the conditioning.
Yeah. It was almost
you are not of man, you are dog.
Yeah. Pavlov experience where they had to tap into some inner
primal
deep
rage.
primal brain, exactly, where you had to and I love that where the witch guy basically says you're just a wolf in a man's clothing, clothes in wolf skin, you're not human, you're not caring about people, you're just a dog willing to kill anything. And it's really good commentary on what they did to them, these warriors, that they stripped their humanity of them, because it's the only way that you could do this stuff, that you could be okay with slaughtering people. And it was horrific to watch. And it was also just fascinating all at the same time, not in a glorified way. It was harsh. It was not sexy, say opposed to say 300, which it was meant to be sexy sounding. That's how it was, right? Where it was damn, these guys are manly men, even though it was brutal. That was the way it came across. This was not that way. No. And I was impressed by that, because I didn't come out of that thinking oh wow, I just got to see a whole bunch of half naked men, No, there's nothing.
Literally a naked volcano fight, and the dudes are jacked.
Full super naked everything. There was no sexiness to it at all, and that was okay.
It was bloody,
because it was bloody, and it shouldn't be sexy. It shouldn't be that way. So I think it really did a good job of coming across as the visceral, holy shit, what did I just watch? Visceral, that's the term for it. It was a visceral movie,
but art at the same time. And that's what makes me excited to see where he goes next as a creator, as a director. What kind of, because there was the interview that I laughed at. Then he was asked if he was wanting to do a big superhero or modern film, and he said, no, I want to stay in the past because that's where it's more fun. It's like,
I can't imagine him doing anything that he really loves in a...
No, because nothing he's done is all period pieces. And like, I hope he stays in there because I think he brings the bleakness that it is.
It's either that or a future. He needs a fully fictional world that is not,
yeah, but I hope he doesn't even go to the future. I think he sticks with the this, because I think the idea of, we romanticize the past.
Yes.
As people that we say, and like every film he has done, even though it's been like far past, like 1800s and shit, or further back, it's just, it's dark, it's bleak, and there's no like pretty, and I'm all in on his career and where he's going. Like, sign me up, because like this one had Ethan Hawke, it had Willem Dafoe in it. There was Nicole Kidman
was his mom.
So like this is like his like bigger star-studded one.
She was scary.
It's just creepy too.
She was creepy, yeah.
But you gotta admit, still looks pretty good for her age.
She had her moment where when she went all creepy, she looked old.
Yeah.
And then she kind of looked like a witch.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of makeup as well too, because there was a lot of times where she didn't look like that.
Yeah. So. And then Bjorn was in it.
Yeah. Bjork.
Yeah. Bjorn is the baby carrier. They were in it too. Those motherfuckers carrying babies. They're Viking.
And then what is her name? Anna Joy Taylor. I had it right the first time.
Now the only thing though with her though, she was actually probably the weaker part of the movie for the fact that her accent is the same accent she used in New Mutants as Ileana.
Oh, okay.
As Magic. So I thought that was kind of funny. She had that Russian. Like,
well, she's Russian.
Yeah,
so I guess it makes
it
sense.
was just the. Waiting for her to break out the magic sword.
Can you do something a little bit different?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I liked it because she...
But this is the second time he's worked with her.
Oh,
She was in The Witch, so...
Oh, she was? Okay.
Yeah.
But...
So now, and the second time he worked with Dafoe, so...
yeah.
Now we have to get...
That just reminded me again, because he was all crazy.
He was crazy.
Witch guy, and it just reminded me more of like the Green Goblin, and then flying back to the lighthouse, and it's just like
we need to get really Pattinson, Taylor-Joy, and Dafoe in an Eggers movie.
There you go,
back together. And now I want to watch The Lighthouse again. That's actually what I consider buying. I don't know why, but it's really infectious. I kind of want to get high into it.
We should okay, then let's do that. Let's do that, because I don't remember not liking it. But like, you love it.
I don't know why, but it is like...
But I remember being slightly emotionally scarred by it. So I kind of want to know, like... But I couldn't explain to you why.
I just... you know what is the idea?
Because I think about it and I go... Oh, a little bit. I don't know what happened. It's like a trauma that I have blocked out from my life. And I kind of want to know what it is.
I think it's just the idea, like, there's not... Like, Hollywood's... slowly allowing some more creative, especially A24 and stuff like that. But like, this just that film just felt like art, and art in a time where big screen Hollywood was a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And even like, where they're like trying to force, things as like high art. Like they try to force, say, the Joker as high art.
Yeah, and it's not.
And it's like, no, high art is Eggers and like the dude that's making like Midsummer and stuff like that. Like,
well, like, okay, so speaking of A24, we saw that trailer for that Men.
Yeah.
That looked fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, when you start watching it, you're like, wait a second. Oh, it's the same person. Something weird shit's going on.
Every man's the same.
Everything's the same, no matter what age they are. And it's like... This is interesting. Like, what's happening, And
I think that's one thing where there's some studios that are willing to say, hey, guess what? We're going to let our creators play.
Yeah.
And like, it's allowing this weird, like almost like the 70s where like movies didn't really make sense, but you
have to let that
happen. They were there.
Right? Yeah. Some of that needs to happen because we're still, the human mind itself can think of some pretty fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And we have to process things. We have to, find a way to express it. You never know who's going to find something that it matters to them or helps them through something or you know what, maybe it means nothing at all and it's just interesting.
Yeah,
you never know,
and it
right?
inspires them because I look at some of these ones and I'm like the
like no different than actual painted art.
Yeah, like I look at the lighthouse and I think of like,
he has a sparkle in his eyes when he says it, by the way. I wish you could see it. He's got this that was a totally fucked up movie and I loved every moment.
But it makes me want to make a movie.
Yeah.
Because and that's how my mind thinks.
Yeah.
Like I would love to just have this weird single room talkie where suddenly there's a mermaid and you're just like, why is there a mermaid? And why did that bird just die? And are these two real? And what's happening? Right? Like
this is what's happening in Mike's head all the time.
I look at that stuff and I think I wish I'd never given up on those dreams because apparently there could have been a place for me.
Yeah.
As there's that weird, quirky, you didn't have to fit into the big.
Well, and you know what?
Machine
it's no different than we think about, say painted art. The idea of how many different styles of art there are, and what we have decided is a classic has changed over how much time, and what inspires different people.
Decades of things that are
and
it needs to look this way.
Old, so many different styles, so many different colors, and it always just takes one person. At some point, people we look back and let's say Van Gogh. At some point, Van Gogh's art was not acceptable.
Yeah.
When he was alive, it was not acceptable.
Yeah.
And now it is. And now it's looked at as something classic. And, think about how much that has changed. Movies are no different. They're just another medium of art. And you never know, you're right, what they'll inspire and someone will find interesting, right? And so we have to give it a chance to actually happen.
Right.
Opposed to say Van Gogh, who could just paint whatever the hell he wished, opposed to a movie where it depends on a lot of group of people to make it happen. But at some point, someone would have made something in their basement of Eggers probably made films at some point when he was younger and someone saw it, you never know. So it's nice to be able to have that sort of stuff. And I think seeing something like this for us, it's an experience that allows you to appreciate different types of storytelling and think about something differently. And I think more people should see it. If you only see things that are, say, MCU and cookie cutter relatively, let's be honest, then, you aren't really appreciating the breadth that is the movie world, the medium. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things with say the streaming and all that is our ability to have technology at any point. We're not as focused into things, right? So that we don't actually envelop it. And that was one of the things I loved growing up was you'd rent a movie and you didn't have any distractions and you made that choice. I'm here for another 2 hours, or I take it out and realize I lost that money.
Yeah.
Right?
Just commit to it.
And I watch so many bad movies and so many good movies, and you find...
Well, you need to find the bad movies to appreciate the good movies.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't have now, is that they just look at movies that people enjoy and then they get mad at them because they're they're not as good as what I think they should be. But they haven't truly experienced a bad movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they've never really appreciated and truly experienced a good movie to know what an expectation should be.
Right.
Everything is just kind of there.
That's always then, I think, a great baseline question for people is what do you like and what do you don't like?
Yeah. Explain to me about this. What is your shit movie that you can't believe actually was made, and what is one of your best movies ever?
Yeah.
Because it's subjective,
and also the time of your life too.
Exactly.
Right? By all means, I will always say that movie 43 is one of the worst theatrical experiences I've had. I've never gone back to watch that movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't remember any of it. So I feel like I need to watch it again to know if it was just where we are at life.
Is that time or
if it was really just the comedy wasn't hitting.
Yeah.
Speaking of comedy that wasn't hitting, What did we find on Amazon?
Okay, so Kids in the Hall has a new revitalization that's coming out.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, it's going to be on Amazon, and with that in mind, the original Kids in the Hall are on there. I loved Kids in the Hall. I would watch them on Comedy Central when I was younger, the replays of it, because I had totally forgotten how old it was. It was actually from 88.
Yeah, and Kids in the Hall played on it was originally on CBC. It played at like 11:30 at night.
Yeah, so like for me,
so
it
like
was,
that
it would,
was
it
like
would play Comedy Central in the
like literally
afternoon.
like there'd be like Cirque du Soleil, Kids in the Hall, and then like somewhat softcore porn, and then they would go off.
That sounds like a fantastic night. Like I would find those nights. That's what I would do as a teenager.
Yeah.
Okay, that reminds me though. I loved
softcore porn?
Yes, I watched that. I watched Real Sex all the time. But Cirque du Soleil. I would find that when I found that online at night one time, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I watched so much Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, yeah.
It was the best thing ever. Speaking
Sometimes
of which,
I think
there's a Cirque du Soleil in Vancouver right now. We should totally go see it.
I think that's one of those things where like some of the stuff that I watched growing up on CBC, I think is what really truly warped my mind.
Yeah.
Because you're watching
Cirque du Soleil, Kids in the Hall, and softcore porn. I mean, that's a fantastic night.
You're just
you're
like, wow.
This is us.
You know, and earlier that night you had other comedy as well, and you had you had comedy.
Yeah.
It was like the Red Green Show.
Hockey, you said?
You had Red Green Show, Royal Canadian Air Force. Then you had hockey. Then you had the news because you had to be informed.
The news, yeah.
And then you had this, and then they throw Mr. Bean in there somewhere too, and then you were just like,
what was that Canadian show that I loved that I fell in love with that had Mercer in it? Oh, it was an hour.
This hour had 22 minutes.
I love that show.
Right?
I watched all sorts of weird Canadian shows when I first came up here. I was like, what is this? Okay, I know this sounds bad, but it was there's other TV that doesn't air in the States. What is this?
What's this?
What's this?
Can't believe my eyes.
I know. I really actually couldn't believe it. And when I say it out loud now, I'm like, holy shit, that's terrifying. To think that was a completely...
Imagine if we ever travel overseas and you see that other countries have TV too.
I know, right? But you know why?
Like the BBC.
But over here, right, the BBC was like some weird, like, you know, I knew that the BBC had existed. I watched Absolutely Fabulous was one of my favorite things, but it was on Comedy Central. So you had I knew Monty Python, of course. I had Absolutely Fabulous, and I had Kids in the Hall. I had no idea Kids in the Hall was Canadian. Absolutely Fabulous was apparently British, so it was on Comedy Central, and I used to love that, right? But no, really though, when you come to Canada, then you realize that there is other TV stations and things
not so
in
much
the world.
now though.
Oh, it was more still than in the States for sure. But I digress. Back to Kids in the Hall. So we watched the first episode of season 1 of Kids in the Hall, and like I laughed my ass off because I remember these skits. Like squishing your head is one of my favorite things in the whole wide freaking world.
I can't believe I
remember all of this.
Child.
And the dance scene, the ballet, so hilarious. But then we kept watching, and we're the skit starts, and I'm like,
yeah, man,
I don't feel okay with this. Why do I not feel okay with this? And I was like, this feels a little up. Seriously, me and I look at each other and we're like,
he's not 10.
We know who this actor is. He is obviously playing a very dark person. We look at each other and we're like, holy shit, he's doing blackface.
Yep.
I have never actually seen it.
I don't remember seeing that.
I have never seen it. And I've never seen it at all.
I only remember them playing women, so it wasn't like...
So we were watching this and we're like...
It was the longest one, too. So it was like painful.
And like the other side of it was him, and he was playing like an old bluesman.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it was like this girl in an office.
Karen in the office.
She was hilarious. It was fine. But then it would switch back and you're like, no, can't laugh at this. This is not okay.
No.
Like
it wasn't even funny though.
It wasn't. Like some of it was, but I'm like, this is not okay. And then there was the what's his face with his gay talking about like racism and homophobia and like all this, and some of his things were funny, and then some of it was like, this is definitely a product of its time. I'm not okay with this. Like
And that was a wonderment because I was like, watch that. Even though it's comedy, it's supposed to make you think. We're not supposed to crush comedy and correctness and all that, but like at the same time, you're like sitting there and going, how are they going to work in this
new world? And well, like, and it's interesting. Have you watched the Red Band trailer for the Kids in the Hall? So a lot more grotesque aspect in that, a lot more intensity. So I'd be curious to see what it's going to be like, right?
Yeah.
Because so I sent, because my mom even would laugh, especially because the crushing your head was one of her favorite skits ever, and I sent that to my sister as well. I sent them the PG trailer, sent that to them. Awesome, they're laughing. Watch the Red Band trailer, and I'm like, if my mom watches and the show is more like this, is she going to be okay with it? And then I watched the original and I'm like, it's again that rose-colored, like what they would have played on Comedy Central. When they replayed it 10 years later on Comedy Central, they wouldn't have played the blackface one. They would have played, I remember episode 1 fully. I remember every single skit in it. God knows how many times I probably watched that episode without even realizing it because I had no idea. So,
but they could have also condensed it. So did they 5 seasons and made it? And did
they do clip shows? Did they cut? Because all the cut scenes are all the same. Yeah. You would never have known that it wasn't the original episode. So I think about that and I'm like, this is going to be interesting. Like I'm definitely still excited about it. I'm excited because it's all the same cast again. Yeah. I'm excited. I love all of them. But it's going to be an interesting experiment.
Would you continue watching the old stuff?
I think I kind of have to see some more of it.
Yeah.
I need a little bit more to just see if it happens again or if it's like, or is there more things, more recurring characters? Yeah. Because it's like this weird thing. Like it's so much Monty Python feel, you know? And I was still like, this is so weird. And it's so hilarious at the same time. Yeah. Because when it wasn't inappropriate, then it was funny and it was weird. But they do such a good job, but they're just so insane. But it's so Monty Python, and they're not okay with that type of humor. And like, I look at that now, and I'm like, well, of course they're Canadian. Like, this makes total sense. It's fully based on British comedy. Of course, it's this way. You know. Yeah, that was an experience for sure. So, Kids in the Hall.
Yep. So back to originally, art is fun. Even if it gets
art is expression.
It gets a little awkward and weird and is a little product of its time. Go see the Northman in theaters. It's if you're into dramatic, long, arty films, it's worth your time.
Yeah, it is.
So
there you go. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.